So we all love our Switch Lites, right? They do in handheld mode essentially the same thing as a normal Switch would do without the detachable Joy-Cons, and they're missing one other big feature, and that feature is rumble. But not anymore. What's up, guys? Welcome back, or welcome in for the first time. If you are new here, do me a favor, make sure you hit that red subscribe button, and let's go ahead and jump right into this. All right, so today we're gonna take a look at this. This is the Shock and Rock from NYKO, and it may look like a regular Switch Lite grip, but this thing actually has rumble motors built on the inside of it. Now, it's not HD rumble or anything like that that you're gonna get with Joy-Cons or Pro Controller, but really that's not a big deal because as far as I know, there's no third-party anything that offers HD rumble at this point. So I know you guys probably have a ton of questions about how this is even possible, and we're gonna go through all of it. But really fast, I just wanted to mention that NYKO did send this over to me for the purposes of this video. I did tell them that I was going to give this a fair and honest review, good or bad. They were totally cool with it, so I just wanted to be transparent and let you guys know all that, and also wanted to thank NYKO for sending the grip over. Because I actually tried to find this thing. I think it was the day it was released, and I couldn't find it anywhere. They were sold out on their website. Amazon didn't have them. So again, thank you guys very much for sending one over for us to take a look at on the channel. So I want to start with this thing and look at it as if it was just a regular grip. We're gonna get into all the rumble features and everything like that in just a minute, but we have to look first at how this thing actually feels in your hand. And I've got to say, I really like the way this feels. Now, as a lot of you know, I use the NYKO grip case for my Switch Lite almost exclusively. And if you look here, the actual grips on these are very similar in size, and they're actually very close in shape too. So, you know, in my book already, that's definitely a plus. It already feels like the grip that I want it to be anyway, so starting out good. So moving on to the back here, where you actually put your hands, this grip has something that I don't think I've ever seen on another grip. And, you know, other grips have textured backs to help you hold on, but this one is different. And it's really hard to explain, but it really does a good job helping you keep a hold of this thing. I'm gonna try to get a really close macro shot of this so you guys can take a look at it really close, but they're just really small, what looks like just little raised pieces of plastic, but I mean, the grip is insane. The grip level on this thing is so good. It's very hard to describe though. If I had to describe it anyway, I guess it would kind of be like, you know, if a beetle lands on you and their little feet like stick to you? That's kind of what it feels like. And I know that sounds really weird, but that is literally the only thing I can think of to even try to explain what this feels like. Anyway, the grip on the back of this thing, very good. Okay, so flipping the grip around here, on the front here, you can see they've got these little soft rubberized pads on the back. There's also some on the side here, and then they also have it on the lip that comes around the front of the Switch Lite itself. Now, I have had this thing in and out of this grip several times over the last, I don't know, 4 days or so, and so far I have no damage on my Switch Lite whatsoever. I do want to point out though, I am starting to get a little bit of wear right here on the grip, right over top of the little latch system they have on there. Now again, there's nothing on my Switch Lite, there's no wear there, so it might just be the finish they've used on this. I'm not sure. Doesn't seem like it's a big deal, but it is something I wanted to point out. Now, while we are on the subject, I want to turn this thing around and show you. It's got a little button here on the back, and that's actually a locking mechanism. You slide the Switch Lite in here, and once it gets to the bottom, it actually locks into place. So the button is actually attached to these little spring-loaded nubs on the back that actually click down into place in the little cutouts for the vent. And no, you don't have to worry about this thing covering up the vent. It's very small. It barely takes up any room at all in there. Now, I will say, for a grip like this, having a locking system is a really good idea, because you have to remember, this thing has rumble motors in it. It actually moves. So if it's not locked into place, it could easily rumble itself completely out of the grip and end up on the floor, or, you know, worse. I mean, I don't know really what's worse than that, but it could end up on the floor broken. You don't want that. So I think the locking mechanism that they have on the back is, for this grip, a very good idea. I think it's a smart idea, and I think it's very well implemented. Now, while we are on the back here, I want you guys to check out all the stuff we have going on along here. First thing, you'll notice here there's a USB-C port. So yes, this thing does have an internal battery, which is awesome. Not only that it takes USB-C, but it's also not gonna drain the battery of your Switch Lite, which is great. And honestly, if this thing depended on the battery of the Switch Lite, I probably wouldn't even pick the thing up because, you know, who wants to add something onto the Switch Lite that's gonna be draining the already smaller battery anyway? Nobody wants that. So the fact that this thing powers itself, definitely another plus in my opinion. So as we move over, right here beside the USB-C port, there's an on-off switch. I mean, I don't think I need to go into detail about the on-off switch, but there is a blue LED light to let you know that it is on. So that's helpful. Now here's where things start to get interesting. Right beside the on-off switch is actually a volume knob. And you may be asking yourself, why is there a volume knob on a grip that has rumble? And I'm gonna explain all that in just a second, but one of the reasons this thing has a volume knob is because this grip, when in use, actually also becomes your speaker. If you look right here, you can actually see the little cutouts for the speaker. Right there. And I know that sounds strange, but just stick with me. Now the reason you need this other speaker is because this grip actually plugs in to the headphone jack. And that is how the rumble function is achieved through the grip. So the way this thing works is it takes the audio frequencies it gets from the headphone jack and converts them into a rumble function. So how you set this up, you wanna take your volume on your Switch Lite and take it to the max. Now from there, you can go back 5 clicks. That's the area where the rumble is going to work. Any lower than that and you're not gonna have any rumble at all. So as an example, playing something like Paper Mario, I had it set to somewhere around the middle, maybe a little bit less, and it is fairly accurate on what it picks up as far as rumble compared to Joy-Cons or the Pro Controller. When you smash something with your hammer, you feel the rumble. When you get hit by an enemy, you feel the rumble. I mean, it is surprisingly accurate, I will give it that. Now, if you turn it up too loud, it actually starts rumbling to the beat of the music during the battles, which, I mean, if you're into that, it's cool. You're definitely not gonna get that from the Joy-Cons or the Pro Controller or really any other controller. So yeah, that's only if you turn it way up. So something like Paper Mario, it works really well for. And I will say the rumble you get and what's happening on screen are synced up pretty much exactly. Doesn't seem like there's any input lag whatsoever, so that's also a pretty big bonus. That's something I was a little concerned about, but it doesn't seem to be an issue at all. Now on the flip side of that, there are some games that I think this might just be a little bit too much for. I tested Grid Auto Sports with this, and even on the lowest sensitivity setting, it was going completely nuts the entire time. So in my opinion, a little too much for something like that where there's a lot of audio going on the whole time, but that's not to say that it still wasn't fairly accurate. While it was rumbling pretty much the whole time, if you hit the wall, you could feel a big jolt. And even when you were, like, you know, shifting gears, you could feel a jolt in that. So it was still accurate. It was just a lot of rumble. So a game like that, maybe not the best for something like this, but I tested this with a few other games. One, obviously, I already said Paper Mario, Breath of the Wild, Super Mario Odyssey, and The Witcher 3. Mario Odyssey, it worked okay, but games like Breath of the Wild, Paper Mario, The Witcher 3, this is very good. It works very, very well. Like I said, things like smashing something with your hammer, super accurate, or shooting your bow and arrow in Breath of the Wild. Things like that, or, you know, any game where there's not just constant stuff happening all the time, this is gonna be good for. As long as you have this thing around the right settings, which can be tricky to get at first, but once you have it dialed in, you don't have to mess with it anymore. Once you get there, it works pretty well. Honestly, I was very surprised at how well it worked with some of these games. Mario Odyssey, it doesn't really work the best with Mario Odyssey. There's a little bit too much going on there with the music and all the stuff happening, just a little bit too much. For most games, yeah, I mean, I think this thing works pretty well, but this thing's definitely not perfect. It's got a few issues, and the first one I wanna bring up, it's not really an issue with the grip. It's really just not possible with a product like this to be able to do. And I wanna give you an example. One that I can think of right off the top of my head is when you're playing Animal Crossing and you're fishing, and you get a fish on the line and, you know, your controller or your Switch will start to vibrate. That doesn't happen with this, but obviously that really can't happen with this because that's on a software level. This thing can't do that through the headphone jack. It's just not possible. So, you know, that's not really a knock on this product. It's just something you should be aware of. Another one of those same situations is in some areas of Super Mario Odyssey when you're trying to find hidden things. The HD rumble will get more intense as you get close to whatever it is you're looking for. And again, this can't do that. So just something to think about. Not a huge deal, but wanted to let you know. Now the next two are legitimate complaints. One of them I've kind of already addressed here. The rumble feature itself is a little difficult to dial in. Like I said, once you get it there, you're pretty much good. But it can be a little difficult to dial in. With some games, like I said, Breath of the Wild, Paper Mario, It's a lot easier to dial in, but it's really dependent on the game. And I know it's probably very difficult to even get this thing to work the way it works and as well as it works now. But again, just something I had a little bit of an issue with and something I wanted to bring up. But the last thing, this one thing is the only real complaint that I think is really wrong with this thing, and that is the speaker. So the first thing about the speaker is I really do not like the placement. It's just in a weird place in my opinion. Now, you don't really cover it with your hand, as you can see here. You're definitely not covering it. That's not the concern. But I feel like there could have probably been a better place to put it, and there probably could have been a better speaker they could have used too, because this thing sounds really bad. Compared to the speakers in the Switch Lite, it sounds kind of muffled. Not unusable, but it's definitely not as crisp and sharp as the speakers that are in the Switch Lite. Now, one thing it does have, it is way louder than the speakers that come with the Switch Lite. Way louder. So if your only concern is volume and you just want more of it, you could definitely get that with this. The quality of the audio, it could definitely be improved. Now, there is a workaround for that I have not mentioned. And for all you people out there who say, well, you know, I'd really like to just use my headphones with this, you actually still can. They have included a headphone jack on the back here. So if you don't like the way the speaker sounds, which I don't, or you just use headphones in general, you're still covered. So that is a good workaround, I guess, but yeah, I really would have liked to see a better speaker put into this, because other than that, I think it's really cool. I think it's a really good idea, and there's really nothing else out on the market like this right now. Okay, let's go ahead and get down to it. Do I recommend the Shock and Rock grip? To the people who are out here watching this video and you have a Switch Lite and you're kind of bummed that it doesn't have rumble, 100%. I definitely recommend this. Now, you're not getting the HD rumble from Nintendo, and yes, it can be a little off, but this is the only option, and honestly, it's a pretty decent one. Now, obviously, this grip is not for everybody, and it's got its downfall. But for the people out there looking just for some type of feedback from their Switch Lite in the form of rumble, yeah, this is it. As far as I know, there is not another product on the market doing what this grip is doing. And like I said at the beginning of the video, as far as grips go, even without the rumble, it's a good one. It's very comfortable. So I'll go ahead and leave an Amazon affiliate link to this in the description below. If you wanna check it out, use that link, you'll help the channel, and I greatly appreciate that. And before I let you guys go, I do wanna remind you that you can now become a member of this channel. I'll have a link in the description to that. You get some cool perks, go ahead and check that out too. But guys, with all that said, thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like on this video. Make sure you are subscribed to this channel and the streaming channel, and we'll see you in the next one.